This is a subject that's been hotly debated by both musicians and fans alike. Technology has transformed so much of our daily lives, and it seems like it's happening at an increasing pace. We're walking around with smartphones. Even 20 years ago, we didn't see people glued to their phones. That doesn't seem like it's slowing down anytime soon. And at every step of the way, there have been conversations about how this technology is going to impact music. I remember when it was a big controversy for bands that were using Pro Tools, because really groups before that were playing these takes over and over and over again, and you really couldn't get down to the macro level. You couldn't improve individual bars, and technology like Pro Tools made that possible, and now pretty much everybody's doing that. But now the conversation has shifted into the realm of backing tracks. Bands are using them, like it or not. Different bands do different things to enhance their shows, and really it comes down to what their fans are willing to tolerate. And of course, we saw Falling in Reverse frontman Ronnie Radke and former Skid Row vocalist Sebastian Bach get into that contentious online battle. The bottom line is, though, again, it's what those ticket buyers are willing to, what they want to see in a show. Are they satisfied? And also, I think there's a bit of a misperception of what backing tracks actually are. Backing tracks could be something like layered guitar tracks in the background that are turned down that just thicken the lead guitar that you're actually hearing. There are people that feel strongly about that, who don't feel. Another example would be pianos and synthesizers in the background that you just don't have the budget to bring out on the road with you. So, and then you have a band. Falling in Reverse would be an example, a perfect example of this, where so much of their music is hip hop influenced, and so you have to have a digital aspect to your show to bring the beats into the music. And so there are other genres of music that have electronic elements that have done the same thing for decades, going back into the 90s and even the 80s. It all depends on how you look at it, synthesizers, etc. But many different shows rely on technology one way or another, including running a show off of a laptop because of a video wall that you have that's timed to your show. There's just an increasing amount of technology that's coming into music that is changing the show. Now, with all of that said, we also have to acknowledge where music is going and what technology is going to continue to do to change the way that we consume music. When I was growing up, and I'm a big fan of this, we had the live DVD, the concert film that was pre-taped and came out, and you went to Sam Goody's and bought it for $25 and you could sit down and watch your favorite band play. And one of the artists I'm getting ready to mention, that LD50 Mudvayne DVD, is something I still will put on from time to time because it's just such a great performance from Mudvayne, just such a great, intense live band. But where you see things are going, where we're at right now, is you have companies like Veeps that are doing robust live stream performances that I think are amazing. So it's evolved from that live DVD into a live stream. But where things are going, if you look at what Avenged Sevenfold just announced, they are doing a virtual reality performance where they've been filmed with these extremely high quality cameras, and then they're basically building a virtual reality video game style environment around them using Unreal Engine, which is used to build some of the biggest video games in the world. And they're building this 3D world that you can explore around them while they're performing that changes as they're performing. Not a 360 camera, this is something more. And so you can imagine where bands are going to be able to release, it's going to get easier and easier. The ceiling for people to do this is going to get easier and easier over time. I'm definitely going to check it out from the comfort of my own home. I would already watch something like a band's live DVD. But again, technology's progressing, stuff's going to change. Expect more of these kind of debates in the future. But here is what first Dee Snider had to say about the use of backing tracks, and he referenced that situation with Ronnie Radke and Sebastian Bach. Now, this is from Blabbermouth. Much respect to them. I've linked to them in the description, and it says, Dee addressed some of rock acts' reliance on pre-recorded tracks in a new interview with Classic Album Review. He said, as transcribed by Blabbermouth, Ronnie Radke and Sebastian Bach had a dust-up a few months ago over the fact that Falling in Reverse uses tracks like so many bands are using tracks now, and the old guys are screaming, that's not rock and roll. And Ronnie was making fun of Sebastian's age. Listen, Grandpa, but the fact of the matter is, something is lost when it isn't guys or girls on that stage making all that noise, when it's used to embellish, especially with newer music, the stuff that is so much more layered and thicker. I mean, we can go back to Queen. When I saw Queen, they got to Bohemian Rhapsody, and they got to the middle, just throw on the tape because there's no way we're going to do that live. I was a huge Queen fan, so that was an embellishment. But when it's used to replace because the person can't do it anymore, and we're seeing more and more of that, singers who can't sing their own songs, he goes, listen, you got to say on that stage, step aside, walk away. There's plenty of other bands that would love to take that spot. He goes, so the embellishment thing has been going on with Def Leppard now. These bands have been doing it for years, but then there's this, and I don't want to point fingers at bands. I'm trying to be a more mature elder statesman of rock and not actually point fingers anymore. My wife said, you've got to stop that. You've got to stop mocking specific bands. Just in general, we know the names. We've seen the videos on YouTube. We've seen the car wrecks of the bands losing the sync with the tape and all that, and they're not even singing anymore. They're not even playing anymore. It's just lip syncing. And so we also have Chad Gray from Mudvayne on the show. We had an amazing podcast with him, and I'm looking forward to having him back on at some point. Chad also feels very strongly about this, and he spoke and shared his views on backing tracks being used in live performances. Chad spoke to Australia's The Underground. He said, even more than bands sounding like other fucking bands, the thing I'm over is bands don't play their music. I'm over that shit. These MFers that roll so much track, it's like, dude, when Ashlee Simpson, you remember that? When she was on SNL and they effed up and her drummer hit the wrong song, it was straight up lip syncing. That girl got lambasted. She was murdered for that shit. Dude, now that's what people do. They just don't want to say it. It's like, you MFer, you are Ashlee Simpson. You are Ashlee Simpson. If you cannot get on stage and play your shit without a laptop, you are relying way too much on that laptop. You're telling me that you cannot play your music without a piece of electronic music. And if you're going to talk about electronic equipment, it better be an effing keyboard or a guitar or something electronic, not a computer that has track upon track upon track, guitar stacked, bass stacked, vocal stacked, singing to effing tracks on your own lead vocal. Like, dude, if I pipe my own lead vocal into my ears, I would sing perfect. Or if I got to sing along to a track of my own vocals, like a couple of tracks of it, my vocals could be pulled back and just kind of sat in the back of it. Dude, I'd be incredible. But I don't do that. I don't believe in that shit. I was inspired by great bands, and great bands never did that shit. And I want to carry that on. And you know what? If you don't effing care that people are doing it, guess what? They're going to do it, and then they're going to do more of it, and then they're going to do more of it, and more and more and more. And maybe the next thing you know, you're going to be paying too much money for an overpriced effing concert ticket that you're going to walk in, and there's going to be, listen to these MFers dancing around on stage, lip syncing to their albums because they don't have the skills to play it. I'm telling you, I'm going back to playing guitar again. I'm learning all this shit. I'm sitting and playing, and I'm bashing my head off the table going, F, this is so hard. But I keep doing it, and I keep doing it, and I keep doing it, and I'm getting better and better and better. I don't think people want to practice anymore. I think all people want to do is get in the music business and be successful. There's more to being in the music business than being successful. You get in the business because you want to be honest, you want to be vulnerable, you want to share that part of you with someone else. You want to give them a part that can't be seen unless it's put to music. There's a part of me that the world knows and knows about me because I share things within my music. I wouldn't be able to share these things without my music. I wouldn't just walk around and go, man, my whole effing life, my dad neglected me, my dad beat me, my dad beat the F out of my mom, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't just walk around and say that shit, but I can tell my story in my music, and I can remind people, if you listen to this music and it sounds familiar, you're not alone. That's one of my biggest messages, man, is to remind people that they're not alone in this crazy ass world, that we're all in this shit together, and you lean on me, I'll lean back on you, and we're gonna get through it. So as you can see there, Chad feels very strongly about this, and his point is well taken. You don't want to see artists up there that are just miming or over-reliant on backing tracks. I think there are examples of those bands for sure, and that's not cool. But I think if you want to pipe in a piano, some choirs, and even for me, some backing vocals, I don't really take too much exception to that. But if you're lip syncing up there, no, I don't think that's cool. I do think there are examples of that occurring, and fans do pay a lot for concert tickets to have that. And I've also met a lot of artists, and I'm sure this is one of the things that Chad is so passionate about. You see what artists go through to protect their voice, and you see how much they have to go through to keep that voice strong so they don't lose it and they can't perform. But again, not every band that's utilizing laptops is lip syncing or something like that. But y'all, as always, let me know what you think about this down in the comments. This is obviously a passionate subject matter. So that's your latest update from Rockfeed. I appreciate those of you who've been supporting on the Patreon. It truly means a lot. Consider subscribing if you're new here with notifications on for the latest news and updates.